So what are we talking about? We're talking about banned and restricted. And I'm not talking about my headband joke, which, whew, isn't that nice? Anyways, banned and restricted. And how does it affect us in Modern? No changes in Commander, doesn't seem like. So there, we're good. And Modern changes are coming though. And we're a little nervous about it. Because we did get some Bowmasters, we had some Grief. Oh, I got Grief. I was too happy, so I had to get a playset of Grief. Oh, and we got our mono black rack stack scam. So, man, would it be bad if Grief is banned? It would, but I'm not feeling it. If anybody watched the interview with the Rosewater and Company, with the Toadies, when you see, they make really good points. Fury is a problem. So Fury has hurt, I think what they're talking about is like Merfolk, Tribal, Elf decks, these, any type of like 1/1 counter decks, things like that. So those are really good points because it is true those decks suffered. So I think Grief is not on the chopping block. I think Fury. I think if we are looking for clues as to what they were talking about chapping, Tony, chappy chap. What were they talking about chopping and putting on the chopping block? So if we're looking for clues to that, I think when they say like decks that are running like low cost, you know, low health creatures have not stood a chance in the format. And definitely like watching the Barcelona tournament and stuff. They said what they learned from that is that, you know, it's kind of a toxic environment right now for like any type of deck that's running like a small 1/1s, 2/1s, 2/2s, anything that when so why don't I think Grief will be? That's a good, I have a main reason. I think Grief is kind of nasty, but I don't think it's bannable. For one, it's boltable. So even if it's scammed, you can bolt it, you know. Of course, it could be scammed back depending on like where our opponent's mana base would be. So that's just going to be more cards discarded. But beyond, you know, specific things like a card, you got to set up quite a game to make it so that like just having someone discard is going to do damage. That's why I think Grief is so good in like the rack deck. That's why I'm still working with that deck and loving it. So I'm really hoping, you know, at this early iteration, trying to bring back one of these old archetypes of Magic being the rack, I really hope Grief is not banned. I'd be pretty devastated. And another one that kind of had me worried, they said they keep talking about the low to the ground creatures and creature heavy decks, tribal decks, things like that, not standing a chance. So all sounds like bad news for Rakdos Scam, because that's going to be targeting, if they're talking about things that are doing damage. Now, see, I don't think Bowmasters is doing that 1 damage for a reason. So it's punishing excess card draw. Is it doing damage to creatures? It surely is. But punishing excess card draw like that, that's a way. Bowmasters balances things out. So the 1 ring, if the 1 ring is going to exist in the format of Modern, so too I think should the Bowmasters. Bowmasters keeps the 1 ring in check, amongst other things. I find that Bowmasters is just what Black needed. So to ban Bowmasters would be cuckoo. And I mean, they've reprinted it, they're selling, people have paid, I paid like at least, I want to say like $100 for my playset of them. So I would not be happy to see like this new card banned. You know, but Grief, like, would I be grieving of it? I would be. I'd be like, oh, man. But I can still rack. I'm not scared. I mean, there's still reason to run the scam cards. You have Dowtide Voidwalker, so you can be playing off our opponents. Even Rakdos Scam. Without Fury, that deck is nerfed. And honestly, you know, having adapted to it, I wouldn't even say that Rakdos Scam, just because it dominates the format and it's so easy to play, I think that's where it comes in. And then being able to scam back Fury is pretty bad because you have a really big creature that cannot succumb to lightning bolts. So if you want to get rid of a scammed back tapped Fury, so Fury's wiped your board. If you have mana, if you had lightning bolt at instant speed, not going to kill returned Fury. You'll have to have something like a wild slash, something to get that extra damage. And even then, if it's later game, horror upon horror, what if they have another way to bring it back? And, so the way that they talked in the interview I'm speaking of, I think like the way they worded things, let's see here. There was a particularly, primary focus seemed to be on Rakdos Scam and the forcing of 1 toughness creatures out of the format. So that's what we're saying, like Ragavan, you know, all these 1 toughness, your prowess creatures, elves, people, your hammer time humans, your, right across the line. But I mean, is that pointing the finger directly, you know, to Fury? I think it is. But then some people argue that's saying Bowmasters. So the presence of Fury and Bowmasters make it noticeably difficult to play DECs with a lot of 1 toughness creatures, which Andrew and Dan seemed relatively concerned about. As a lover of aggressive creature-based strategies, I am hopeful that the modern bans address this issue in part, and that Aether Vial enjoyers can rejoice once more. So what that's telling me right there is that if they ban, I don't think Grief is on the table. Just because other decks use Grief, Grief is specific to certain things. It's not like everybody's going to splash black to run Grief. You know what I mean? Like, it's very specific. It's a great card, but it's very specific, I think. Whereas Fury, well, I said it. You can go back in my videos to where I feel like, you know, this is what I don't like about Wizards. Like, I feel like we were just here. You know, this is like, I got all my stuff stacked up and I'm talking with coffee again, ranting about the ban, or, you know, what's going to be banned. At least this time we know something's going to be banned. Last time everybody speculated and nothing, no changes. And I get it. Maybe they wanted to see some things, try these other sets. Similarly, let's shift the focus a little bit to something like Up the Beanstalk in Modern. And I don't think that's going to see a ban. Because again, Orcish Bowmasters, I think, in the meta is good because it puts things like that in check. So, like, okay. The hype surrounding October 69 only for there to be an announcement with virtually no statements made to the community about why no changes took place. Players were visibly frustrated, and it seems as though Wizards of the Coast is taking the frustration seriously. It'll be interesting to see exactly what cards are banned or unbanned, but if you were hoping for a change in Pioneer or Modern, you may be in luck. So, on a more positive note, I feel like this may be the time where Wizards of the Coast is going to take the hands from around the neck of Storm. And how beautiful of a thing. Like, what is it? Seething Flame. I'm trying to think. It's a 3 mana that produces 6 mana, I think. Or is it a 3 mana that produces 5? Seething Song. That's what it is. Seething Song and a Rite of Flame. So, like, when Rite of Flame, things like Seething Song go out of the format, that killed Storm. They, like, really did not want turn 3 combo decks. But I think that we learned from Rot Priest, and I think anybody trying to keep Storm alive, what we've learned is that in the new meta, Storm can make interesting interaction. Storm can be punished. Storm is a gamble. It's still a great deck, a great archetype, great consistency, but it's a gamble. And I think that letting Storm have something is a great thing now. I think Storm deserves it. I think taking Rite of Flame and the Seething Song were very rude. Especially to like so many decks were just like, and Preordain is not going to fix those decks. So if they're going to unban something, it should be there. And I'm not much of a Pioneer player. And I shouldn't say I'm not much of when I don't play Pioneer. It's not that I have something against it. It's just I like to focus on certain commander types, playing commander with certain people, and modern. I like modern. So that's why we're just focusing on modern. But I like to talk about Magic in general and many other things. So that being said, I don't want to digress, even though we love to digress on this channel. So, some stuff about Viashino Branch Rider. By the way, this is MTG Rocks. I'm reading from, where? Zachary Fink. So, yeah. I don't know if all my viewers come across Rakdos Scam. I play against a couple Rakdos Scam decks. And I will say, like, they're pretty powerful. And Burn, like, you really gotta, I mean, it is like, the decks are consistent. But I think that, you know, like, say Grief is banned. Let's say Grief and Fury get banned. What do I do? I don't think, like, that ruins 8-Rack. Because 8-Rack, like, my, you know, Rack Scam deck, that existed before Grief, and I think we can make it exist after. With Bowmasters, though, it needs, you know, that's what we need, like, something like in the current game. Bowmasters, Dautai Voidwalker, we still have reason to bring things back. And I've even looked at a couple other cards, so I'm already planning, like, if Grief and Fury are banned. And I mean, for all we know, they may just say, hey, these elemental evoke creatures were a mistake on the part of our development team. They're too powerful, and we're done with these. Because, you know, evoke, for what the evoke cost of exiling like a black or a red card, you know, it's a cost. But the fact that you can bring it back, so 8 damage with Fury. So playing a deck like my favorite deck, my mono red with green prowess, I can have like my board state, like I'm playing fast, and then turn 3 when I'm about to like swing it home or like really deliver something. Then like bang, like a scammed Grief, or, you know, I'm sorry, pardon my, a scammed Fury will go boom, 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 and it will just wipe that clean. Scammed back, having the counters. Ooh, and it's tapped, and I can't just lightning bolt that thing away because it has too much health. So getting Fury out of the format is going to make so much happen. Like, I just got some different cards. I bought somebody a commander deck, so I'm not investing in cards, but now would be a time. If you want to invest in cards like the one I just bought, Grand Abolisher, like 6 something, I got 2 of them. I should have bought more. I wish I would have. Because a card like that, now this archetype, we're going to move back into seeing cards like that again. So good 1/1, 2/1 type creatures are going to be back in the format. They're getting rid of Fury. That's what they're saying in this thing. I'm sure of it. Fury is toast. I hope Grief isn't. And I think it would be just crappy if they got rid of Bowmasters, because everybody's bought Bowmasters. Everybody I know that runs black, Dimir, and now see that again, that is kind of like where it gets borderline. Is that a reason to ban this card? Now, it's one of those things. I don't think Bowmasters is like dominating in the format so much as like it's not even like Fury is the problem in Scam. Fury's the problem, because does it suck to discard a couple cards? It does, but your opponent, the opponent is paying to do that too. So in essence, an opponent, if you look at like Scam or like an 8-Rack, what do I run? Let me think. 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2. I run 6 recursions, 2 Malakir Rebirth. So 2 of one, 2 of another, and 2 of another to my scammers to bring back Grief, okay? So those are dead drops to me, kind of, because you can use it on Dowtai Voidwalker, which is absolutely phenomenal card. So Dowtai can be brought back like that, because sacrifice it, play a card for free. Dowtai Voidwalker brought back that way that's great. The Augur of Skulls, which you sacrifice it on your upkeep, and you pay 1 and a black, regenerate. But you can scam back Augur of Skulls and then sacrifice it again. That will make somebody discard 4 cards. So that's scammable. I think I can make that deck, maybe even getting away from the archetype of worrying so much about, evoking and scamming back and forth would free it up for a little something different. And I have seen a couple of cards very low to the ground. It's a pirate. It's a 1-drop, and when it dies, you can create a treasure token. It's a 1/1 and something else. Oh, scry. Yeah, when it dies, you can scry 2, create a treasure token. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. A 1 black, something freebooter, greedy freebooter. I got 4 of them, though, so it's definitely bulk. And I already said it's going to be a Pauper staple, I'm sure. Just that, sack it, create a treasure token. As long as it dies, it creates that treasure token, the recursion. So bringing that back, being able to even scam that back, and you can get, sack it again to an outlet. So yeah, I think I can totally make it work without Grief in there, but it would suck because if you look on TCG Player right now, as a matter of fact, I have it up here, so we'll just look up Grief right now. And I believe it is at $16.85, which, that's crazy. But if they don't ban Grief, let's say some whale, Moby Deck, let's say Moby Deck the whale's I'm going to buy all these Grief off of TCG Player. It'd be a great thing to do it. Because if this card is not banned, it's going to shoot right back up. Because in the archetypes in which it's used, it is totally, totally viable. And that being said, let's see here. Oh, I'm scared to look. Oh, no. Oh my gosh, you guys, goodness, look at Grief. Right there, $15.99. Oh, yucky, yucky doodles. Yep, 223 listings as low as $15.99. And the lightly played TCG Player Direct is $21.56. And you can see right there just the decline of that card. And it'll be funny if it's not banned. I imagine it'll shoot right back up. Not to mention, I mean, other decks playing it. You have Living End, Dredge. Now, I know, come on now. Yeah, the Rack, Modern. So it's played in the Rack. So somebody else is thinking like me. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, you got a Modern Rack deck, very similar to mine. But then again, I will say, holy moly, you got Dimir Murktide, Reanimator, a lot of Evoke, Living End. But yeah, I think you take Grief is not the problem. Again, I'll say, in Rakdos Evoke, the problem, they keep on saying, can't stress enough, their wording, it's coded wording. So Wizards of the Coast is speaking to us in that interview. And I say watch it. Let's see here. I got a link to it somewhere because I just got done watching it. But in any case, I don't see Grief getting banned, I think, and I'll be horrified. If they ban Bowmasters, the Ring must go too. In Modern, the Bowmasters punishes the Ring. Not to mention, the Bowmasters is fair. Dowtai Voidwalker is great, but the Bowmasters Black needed that. And if anybody thinks I'm wrong, maybe I am. I play weird Magic. I mean, I'm not I'm a little odd in my gameplay and my choices, I know. But I like to play the way I like to play. It's a certain element of it, but I will say, these Bowmasters, they're what Black needed in the format. Like, Red got Ragavan. So Ragavan, if Ragavan didn't get stopped out the way, the Bowmasters needs to stay. Because Black's answer to Ragavan is the Bowmasters. Wonderful card. So it's a very balancing card in Black. And I could probably do a video in and of itself of why, as an advocate of why Bowmasters should stay in the format. And I really think it should. Anyways, not to digress, but there you have it. So here at Lizards of the Toast, our theory, the changes coming to Modern are going to be Rite of Flame with, fingers crossed, Rite of Flame type cards, and the Seething Song, right? So those kind of like red tit for tat, like give and take, quid pro quo, as it were, like mana producing cards, which would be just a boon for Izzet Storm, for the Gift Storm. Any Storm deck would just love this. And I don't think it'd break the format. I think Storm is totally fair. I think the Storm combo decks in the Modern format today, it'd be a wonderful thing to have them back in the format. And I'd welcome them with open arms, not just to play them, but to play against them with my decks as well. So, to me, if we get rid of Fury, we're going to have a healthy format again. And the people that want to do tribal creature decks, mono white humans, Orzhov humans, people that want to do vampire tribal, elf tribal, it'll open up a window to getting back to a little bit more of semblance of what Modern is. But allow those combo decks. And it's safe to say, like, Fury was a bad card. It shouldn't have been made. In a format like Commander, Fury's not that bad because of its casting cost. And to me, like, it should be banned definitely, indefinitely, should be. So there's my 2 cents. Fury will be banned. If they touch Bowmasters, everybody's going to be so mad because we thought they were going to do that in October, right? People said if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And they didn't do it. So people bought them. People said, hey, here to stay. If I need them in the Bowmaster in my mono black, we're gonna make it work. So that'd be a really bad thing to do because I got rid of like cards. I was like, I want to make these Bowmasters work. I want to try to build a deck with these cards. So when you spend that kind of money and then the card is banned in that format, like, what do you how do you make the card work then? It's just wrong. So I am hoping, and I don't believe they ban the Bowmasters. But Grief and Fury is where my money is, but I just think Fury. Because I think Grief is too niche. Fury, anybody wants to wipe a board with this thing, like. But you get rid of Fury, then that's like, okay, whoa, that'll take Rakdos Scam down a little bit, and then it needs to, as a deck and an archetype, the Rakdos Evoke needs to get a shakeup. It's a much needed shakeup, I think. So once we get that shakeup in there, then we're going to have more creativity in the format. And then you're going to see a return to the decks that I think the developers are discussing here. So again, like coded language. And as far as like Pioneer, I definitely think like there's some cards that hit that format where it's like, whoa, this is making this like a high power format, like a combo format. Turn 3 wins in Pioneer, even though I don't play it, just from what I've heard and observed from like passing other, people at game stores that play Pioneer. I'll say, hey, it's a good time for your format. And some people say it's not a good time for a format. Some people say it is. I know people that play Modern also are like, hey, I like what's happening in Pioneer. But then people that like, Standard are like, we don't like what's happening in Pioneer because it's turning into like we're going to lose on turn 3, which in Modern we are used to turn 3 and turn 4 and sometimes turn 2, which that's just fine. You play what you like and stuff, but I get the gripe. So I think, yeah, the big changes are going to happen in Pioneer. Maybe a couple unbannings in Pioneer, and I think Modern's going to see some very positive unbannings. I think it's going to make everybody happy, and I think us, people that like Storm, will be just overjoyed. So I think MTG deck